Kia ora, it's Mike Atkinson. This presentation is looking at running an Abseil, a student or client-based Abseil, and sort of things we're going to be looking at here are some progressions, so looking at a practice site, Abseil technique, and crucially Abseil operation, so the running of an Abseil. Finding a practice site is so any sloping bank. It's a really good idea in terms of progression towards a vertical abseil. Now, sloping bank gives them clients a chance to practice locking off, leaning back, and trusting the gear. So it gives quite a few different options for them to get their heads around, especially if it's their first time. And you can see in this slide here, they've got a safety line on as well. Not necessary for this, but it might help them when they get to the bottom of the abseil, that they know what to do with the safety line, what to take off, what to leave on, that sort of thing, but not necessary. So when teaching abseil technique, key things to remember are keeping their feet wide, all right, so they don't swing sideways into the cliff when they're going down, so a nice wide stance with their feet. Shoulders back. Quite often people hunch over the device, and that's where things like long hair or cords, if they're not managed properly, can get jammed in the device. So keeping the shoulders back and creating an L-shaped position, so their legs horizontal with their upper body vertical, so creating an L through there. What to do with the lock-off hand? Most generally, just say everyone's right-handed for this. You don't necessarily have to say set the device up for left-handers, but just set them up right-handers. By the other hand, so the left hand, what do you do with that? Now there's two options really. One is to put it underneath the device, how this person has here, and sitting above the lock-off hand. So they've got two hands on the lock-off rope. Or you can have the other hand up above the device as well, for just something to hold on to. Either way is fine. The next section is looking at the operation of the abseil, so on the steps that you go through to run a safe abseil. Now, the key thing here is that you're being systematic. All right, so the process that you go through is the same each time. You're almost being robotic-like, just replicating the same steps, the same system each time. That will just help reinforce your steps, especially if you're running quite a few large numbers through. It helps you remember and get the steps right each time. So there's a bunch of steps here, but we'll run through each of those in each slide. So the first thing you do when you've got a client ready to abseil is do the safety checks. So you're checking their harness, that is sitting up on their hips, outside, all of their clothing, and most importantly, that the waist belt is nice and tight and the buckles are secure. Check the helmet is fitting properly on the head, not swinging around or going backwards, flipping backwards when they put their head back, and make sure if there's any long hair that it's tied around the ponytail around the back, out of the way, and any clothing cords, especially hooded cords, they're tucked away as well. Now here, so once you've done your safety checks there, you've got to hand them the safety line, right? And before you hand it to them, making sure it's tied off. So you've got that Italian hitch with 3 half hitches tied off here. So then you attach their rope to them, right? That you might get them to rethread it or onto their harness like you do for climbing, or click in with a locking beaner. Either way is fine, but making sure this is tied off. So they're in the safe zone here behind the log, and they're clipping in with the safety line tied off. Once you've checked that safety line is all in properly, they can step over the safety line and set up the abseil device. Now again, just notice here how the instructor's got their hands free, and that's because the safety line is tied off. The client's safe on that, and the instructor is free to help if the client needs help to get the device on. Some instructors, and I've seen it many times, will try and hold the safety line, so the Italian hitch with one hand, and then the client will need help, and the instructor will forget that they're holding that rope, let go of that safety rope, and essentially compromise the safety of the client. So just making sure that Italian hitch on the safety line is tied off, and this one the last things that you do before they go down abseiling. Once the Abseil device is attached, make sure that they take in any slack on it so it comes tight on them. Alright, so as soon as they step back, before they even step back, they've got weight or tension on this Abseil line. So take in any of that slack. And then double check that their beaners are done up, their safety line is done up, and check your beaners at the focal point as well. Even though you might have checked them before, just again get in that systematic process of checking. Once you've double checked everything, the last thing that you do is to undo the half hitches on the safety line. Before the client starts heading down, so you're holding on to the safety line now, you essentially have them on belay. You move yourself out to the edge where you're going to position that you can see them the whole way down. So you are shuffling your plastic down as well as holding on to the safety line, and once you're in position, then the abseiler can head down, but you get in position first. So final tips. The hardest part of any abseil for a beginner is getting over the edge from the horizontal to the vertical. So just encourage that nice wide stance with their feet and lots of small steps and sitting back in their harness, creating that L shape. Okay, main visual contact with the abseiler at all times. Now remember, your main focus is going to be on the abseiler, but just remember to stay engaged with the people who are waiting at the top. So just a few words to them every now and then, and what's happening around you, what's happening with the people who've been abseiling. Are they in a safe zone out to the side? Are they behaving themselves under control? So just keep a wider view of what's happening, and make sure that the abseiler avoids a pendulum, so they don't try and go out to the sides out here where they may think it's easier to start off, because then they'll end up swinging around or pendulum. So just keep them in line as you go down.